Hey, and welcome back to differential analysis. So why is differential analysis actually useful? Well, it's the basis of science. If you notice, Darwin's theory of evolution or Einstein's theory of relativity is all about not saying things are true, but proving what things are wrong. And I think you can do that with a UFO picture. And the other approach, which I often do discuss with you openly, is I like to look at the big picture. Often social media channels focus in on a minute detail of a UFO incident, but are missing the fact that it took place only in America. It took place in a military operational area. And one very famous UAP incident actually takes place in a war games augmented reality area where they actually add targets for people to go up and chase onto their radar screen as augmented reality. There is a facility on an island just off San Diego that projects simulated war games in the military operational area where the UAPs were seen. So ignoring that and just talking about the possibility of a craft and how it was made ignores this big picture. And I think in the Calvine incident, I think it's worth stepping back and looking at the time, the date, who took the photographs, why it was released, why it's been released now. Some of the who, what, why, where, and when that good reporters are trained to do. So that's what I am going to do. I'm open-minded to change my mind when new evidence comes in. So let's go through some of the big picture. It was 1990, August 1990. What was the weather like? Well, there was a drought in Scotland, but that actual day was cloudy. Let's look at the big picture of the photographs. Well, there's one incredibly important point that I think everybody is missing, and that is it was shot on a 35mm format, but we're seeing a cropped image. There's bits missing, and I think that also the print is obviously out of focus. It's badly printed. Why was it cropped, and why is the only remaining master photograph printed so you can't see details, rivets or natural formations on the craft? We need to ask that question. Focus and cropping by whom? And one vital point I'd like to make, and it's a bit of a story from me, and that's about, could the photograph be faked using Photoshop technology? I'm going to tell you how that technology was available. When leaving art college in Sheffield, I went to work for the BBC in 1978. By 1981, I was mainly working on news and current affairs, and the cutting edge piece of kit that came out in 1981 was a piece of kit called the Quantel Paintbox. It was an electronic digital way of manipulating images. It was used for graphics, for putting text on the screen, for overlaying text on pictures, for manipulating pictures, for making photo montages, for making title sequences, animated graphics. And it was the size of a room and cost, let's say £1 million. It was super expensive and only used by broadcast television companies. By 1990, the firm Quantel from Berkshire, who made it, brought out a desktop version called Paintbox V. It's the size of a normal 1990 personal computer. It had a square, flat cathode ray, but very high quality monitor. It had a tablet with a pen, which you could draw. And this was affordable. I ran a digital and video editing facility in West London, very close to the BBC, who are our main client, and we regularly used the Quantel Paintbox, the cheaper version, the V version, when it became affordable for a small company like mine, and it got used just every day. I remember in 1989, a year before the UFO picture was taken, my graphic designer did photograph montage for a brochure that got printed onto paper for our company using the Quantel Paintbox. It was available. Now, sure, a couple of chefs from Pitlochry or wherever they worked probably didn't have their own Quantel Paintbox, but they might have had friends who had one. It was commonly available. The newspaper had one. The MOD certainly had one. So you young people today probably think that 1990 was eons away and that we were living in the dark ages and we were still doing everything on wet photography and film. It's just not true. 1990 was the transition era between video, film, and digital. And I regularly used to transfer video onto film and film onto video for television production. It was a common practice. So why would you believe some over-animated, crazy-haired, old, confirmation bias, social media professor? Well, don't. You should ask questions. But here is Doctor Who telling you about Quantel Paintbox in 1989.
In 1981, Quantel sparked off a revolution. The new artistic freedoms it brought were eagerly seized on by a fast-growing band of graphic designers. The vehicle for this revolution was the Quantel Paintbox. The idea of painting with light had become a reality. Paintbox's cut and paste made it possible to achieve the impossible. The possibilities became endless. And any color or texture in any picture could be picked up easily for fast, invisible retouching and repairing. Graphic designers around the world immediately fell in love with the Paintbox. But no one could have anticipated how they would collectively exploit their stunning virtuosity in this new medium. But what about the 90s? How do you improve on a classic? Quantel was determined to find ways to provide new freedoms, to make it smaller, faster, and even more affordable than ever before. To do this, the engineers returned to the heart of the machine. Quantel is proud to announce the arrival of V-Series. It's equally at home under a desk or in an engineering rack, with everything you need contained in an incredibly powerful and compact design, including an integral hard disk which holds the equivalent of 185 full-frame pictures. V-Series begins a new age in portability, power, and flexibility. As your business grows, a V-Series system will grow with you. Whether you're starting up or expanding your operation, whether you're extending a complex design facility or just want to take your work home with you, whether you're a graphic designer, an animator, a broadcaster, a retoucher, or a production facility, there's one thing you can be sure of. V-Series is smaller, faster, more affordable, and unmistakably Paintbox.